and welcome back to Mountain Lake Files. Today, we're going to be talking about a humanoid from West Virginia in Grafton. This large humanoid is said to have white seal-like skin, and from the behind it almost looks headless. It weighs somewhere in the realm of 1,000 to 1,500 pounds. Folks still talk about the encounters in hushed voices as night falls. But this monster has left no more than pictures in people's heads and the memories left. But this beast left not so much as a footprint. Grafton experienced significant economic and demographic growth after the American Civil War as a result of business brought to town by the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad and local factories. The post-World War II period produced considerably different results. Indeed, as the 20th century progressed, the same factors that had resulted in the community's rapid expansion in the late 19th century complicated further development. Smoke from the extensive railroad and manufacturing activities around and the town hindered the residents' ability to live and conduct business there, and later efforts to redirect railway traffic interfered with local manufacturing. The economic situation worsened further with the subsequent closure of the Carr China plant and Hazel Atlas glass plant in the 1950s, leaving hundreds in Grafton without work. In the latter part of the decade, however, the community railed to attract new industry to the town, an endeavor that was not only successful but earned Grafton the National Civic League's All-American City Award in 1962. It was within this context that the first sighting of what became known as the Grafton Monster were made. These sightings were the latest in a number of similar occurrences throughout the state, sightings that seemed to have occurred with more frequency as the area was impacted by West Virginia's gradual deindustrialization in the second half of the 20th century. This process, combined with the increasingly political atmosphere of Cold War America, made the mountain state ripe for cryptid sightings in the 1950s and 60s. In 1952, local residents in Braxton County, West Virginia, reported the first sighting of what became known as the Flatwoods Monster. While the citizens of Point Pleasant described their initial alleged encounters with the Mothman in 1966, Grafton's own monster sightings is sandwiched firmly between the two. Robert Cockrell got off work at the Grafton Sentinel at 11 p.m. on June 16, 1964, and began his journey home down what is now Yates Avenue along the western banks of Tigert River. Rounding a curve in the road, Cockrell's headlights caught what the reporter described as a huge white obstruction with slick white skin and no head. Terrified what he had seen, Cockrell raced home, calling his friends, Jerry Morse and Jim Mosier, to ask them to accompany him to return to the site for further investigation. Though they found nothing upon arriving there, the grass where Cockrell had seen the obstruction standing had been trampled, and they heard a low whistling sound that seemed to follow them as they continued their search at the location. The next day, Cockrell said nothing to his co-workers at the Sentinel, but upon hearing of the reports, sightings that matched his own, he chose to speak up. His editors considerably censored the article that he wrote on the subject. However, that subject appeared on June 18th. This article, titled Teenage Monster Hunting Party's Latest Activity on Grafton Scene, described an encounter with a group of Grafton youths searching for the monster on Riverside Drive. With considerable skepticism, the description of the alleged Grafton monster sounds suspiciously like the recent report of the monster in Michigan. Suggestions as to where such an animal could have escaped. The following day, the paper openly poked fun at the growing search for the Grafton monster in an article entitled Monster Result of Spring Fever, Wild Imaginations. At approximately 10 p.m., it was recorded that cars were almost bumper to bumper along the river drive. It noted and combined that so many teenagers and adults were roaming that section of the city that Grafton's alleged monster couldn't have showed up at the river drive that area if it wanted to. Since the original sightings in 1964, the lore surrounding the Grafton monster has spread across West Virginia and the nation. The Grafton monster has also been seen in the game Fallout 76. To capitalize on this attention, the town placed a sign commemorating Cockrell's sighting at the location of his encounter alongside Riverside Drive. The sign was stolen by a West Virginian University students shortly thereafter, however, but just as quickly recovered when it was moved to a new location on Main Street. There was much talk at that time about the Grafton monster or Grafton beast. Some believe that it's an interdimensional traveler, a monster that could come and go between our dimensions and its own. I believe very strongly in the possibility of crypto life out there. The Grafton monster is just another example. I think that if we're seeing some kind of unidentified intelligent wildlife that is smart enough to avoid complete detection, so we only catch glimpses and parts of it, and in poor lighting, also recordings that are disturbed or devices that drain of their batteries. Who knows? Are they interdimensional? Are they coming from space or underground? I've mentioned this before, but if people live in an area where there's thousands of mountain lion, thousands of bears, and have either never seen them or only occasionally see them, the fact that some big humanoid creatures live within our forests, mountains, valleys, is not out of the realm of possibility. And does it not raise a question that Cockrell's sighting and report was censored? Is it odd that the Grafton Sentinel poked fun at the teenagers that spring in 1964, as if to redirect Cockrell's encounter of the Grafton beast that was said to stand somewhere between 7 to 9 feet tall, and weighed 1,000 to 1,500 pounds. However, when Fallout 76 came out with the Grafton Beast and the game's graphics, only then did the town use Cockrell's encounter to capitalize by placing signs for attracting people to the location and to the town. Was this some kind of government cover-up? Was this beast there as some kind of scientific project? Or did it come from some place interdimensional between our world and theirs?